Good day, YouTube. It's the 12th of November 2017. I couldn't resist make a short video to track progress in the Stepvan. And today's kind of a fun day when I'm actually getting to mock up the equipment rack and equipment storage and things like that. Trying to get back where I can show you what's going on. So this is the port wall. How do you do that? Because that's boat terms. Left side, driver's side, behind the driver's seat in the Stepvan. And this is the layout that I've been dreaming of for more than a year, how I would lay this out. I've spent the last couple of hours running around to every store in town trying to find a toolbox that fit the space. At 43 inches, so I was looking for like a 42-inch toolbox, and I had some very particular things in mind. I really wanted a full-width top drawer, but the ones that I found that had that were a couple inches too wide. There was nothing I can do about it. So I have what I have. I was lucky to find one that did fit, and this will work. So my goal is, and this isn't actually too bad, but for storage, is this top drawer. Here will be microphones and possibly microphone cables, depending on how much space I find. This is just miscellaneous audio connectors, pencils, pins, batteries, small tools, things like that. These two drawers here will be speaker cables. Probably do like 25 footers, which is what I do mostly for cruisins and stuff. The speakers don't venture far from the truck, and then the 50 footers bigger gauge cords there, and then microphone cords and extensions and stuff like that, XLR extensions and so forth. So the rack is sort of installed. I have some 1/2-inch bolts. I just basically threw bolting it through the floor, but what I had wasn't long enough, so I went to our local farm store. Has one heck of a bolt selection, and it was excellent, so I got some bolts. I just have to change these out, get some help, or clamp vice grips onto the head so I can go underneath and put the nuts on. And unfortunately, this is right over top of the propane tank underneath, which of course powers this vehicle. So this is what I've left myself between the seat and the rack. The seat is in its full back position. I actually would operate the Stepvan from the full forward position, and then push it back to exit the driver's seat, because it's just a little tight getting past the motor cover and stick shift, etc. So I don't have any equipment essentially in the rack right now. It's just sort of sitting there. And then I brought down one of the two big mixer boards that I have. I had originally purchased a 24-channel Yamaha mixer, a modern mixer, late model, for this build, and then was actually earlier this year I was at a, believe it or not, car part swap meet and bought this 16-channel PV. This is a vintage PV. It's just cool as heck. These are real wood sides. The slides are a little larger, but they're super smooth. This thing will probably outlast anything you can buy today. It's just good stuff. It's just quality. I like it. Luckily, they're physically about the same size, so I could always just swap this out if I ever needed more than 16 channels. I do have a 24-channel snake. A snake you plug in to all of your channels here. It's 100-foot long, large diameter, multi-cable assembly, and you would roll it out and go up onto the stage if you were doing sound reinforcement for a band or group or something, and that brings all the signals back to you and then sends a half a dozen signals back to the stage for their monitors and so forth. This doesn't have quite that much capability. If I ever needed it, I could swap it out. So I've been sitting in a chair thinking about this. I do as much sitting and thinking about how I use stuff and how I want to set things up as I do actually doing stuff, because I don't really like to do it once. So I want this mixer to be mounted at an angle. Was always the plan, is to angle it from here down to the top of the toolbox here, so that it's right in front. So no hunching over to look at it. This is a totally in your face, a quick glance down, quick glance through the window, and then mounted off to the left here on a pivoting arm will be my laptop, where all of the MP3s are stored, operational, so forth. Bring the MP3s in on a couple channels, because this is not a stereo mixer. It is just mono, so you just pick 2 channels and run your left and right to that. So I'll be looking online for a laptop mount, wall mount, or I could probably rig up something and bolt it to this toolbox too if I found like a table mount. So that's the goal. So I'm sitting here studying this thing, thinking about running down to the hardware store and getting a couple of big hinges. I want this to be able to hinge up and down, be secured to the hinge platform, but I might be able to stash some stuff underneath and what have you. So that's kind of the similar setup I have in the Mystery Machine, and I want this to work very much like that, because that actually works very well. It looks a little weird. I'm slightly off-centered to the window. I could easily center it, but I don't really have to. Trying to figure that out. Is aesthetics that important or just function? So I'll figure that out. So I think I'm off to the hardware store to get a couple hinges so I can play with it a little bit, and a board or some kind. This cabinet came with a hardwood work surface, which would be kind of nice to put back on there for whatever reason, in case I ever do something completely different than this. I could always take the mixer off and use this for something else, a studio, or I don't know. I always like to leave it available for options. So I was kind of excited to get to this point, and I was struggling to move much more forward today, so I just thought I'd make a short video, kind of document where I'm at. Kind of excited to have got this far. I really didn't plan to work on this weekend, but it's really what I wanted to do, and I always work on what I want to work on. So this is what I wanted to work on, so that's what we did, and I'm happy I've got this far. So thank you guys for coming to my channel if this is your first time, or coming back if you've been a subscriber before. And we'll continue on this journey. I think I have next weekend almost to myself. I know there's a car part swap meet that I'm headed to. Am I a buyer or a seller? That I haven't figured out yet. Most likely a buyer, because I feel like being lazy and not gathering up a truckload of stuff to sell. There's another swap meet coming in March, and I'm more apt to sell stuff there. So I'll go to the swap meet, and then maybe I'll have some fun stuff to share with you when I return. So thank you guys again, and we'll catch you on the next one.